Glendora. It was pretty clear there was no contract because Cablevision never signed the papers and sent a copy back to them with an affidavit of service. So you see, there is no contract. Glendora could have done a lot better at trial if she had limited discovery as to what Callagy was going to say. Callagy should have provided Glendora with a bill of particulars. Lane picked up on this no copy to a signer of Cablevision. Savarino lied. Well, we show it to them when they come in. Signers do not come in. Can you name the signer you showed it to? How many signers come in, Christine? How many signers have come in? What are their names? Yes, these, quote, applications are filled out by Glendora and signed by local residents, but Mark Fox, U.S. Magistrate, White Plains, says that it is standard that lawyers make out the papers all the time and people sign it, and the onus is on the person who signs it. 222 paragraph, that's a magic number. Thank you for the spring light sunshine today. Maybe Glendora should have stopped the trial and made Callagy declare his intent. She asked Lane to make him declare his intent, but Lane did not. 12:15 p.m., Peter Lane. Gave Glendora time to prepare her cross-examination of Savarino.
I've got a great job. Money in the bank. Last month, someone asked if I read the Bible. The Bible? I'm successful, I'm happy. What do I need the Bible for? I can get more from the Wall Street Journal. But that made me curious. So I decided to take a second look.
I'm on my feet all day. When I go home, I just want to turn on the TV and relax. But read the Bible? All those these and thous and begats? Who wants to struggle with that after waiting on customers all day? But then a friend showed me this version written in modern English, and I was surprised.
This guy I play hoops with said I should start reading it, the Bible. Man, I said, I don't need no Bible. I mean, it just ain't cool. So he goes, I read it all the time. And he beat me by 20 points. So he gives me his Bible. I read it. It ain't hoops, but it ain't bad.
What's your excuse? Before you make an excuse to avoid reading the Bible, stop. Take a second look. Pick up the Bible for 5 minutes, and you may pick it up for a lifetime.
Gave Glendora time to prepare her cross-examination of Savarino. Glendora gave former U.S. Marine Dick $80 to buy the 4 monitors their lunch. George and Glenn huddled. Glenn did not eat. George got a piece of sandwich stuck in his throat. This hurt him, and he was uncomfortable for a long time. A woman at an adjoining table heard all that we discussed. We picked up at 1:15 p.m. to leave. She called sympathetically down the stairs. Good luck. Well, I didn't really want to stop, but I didn't have the time. But I did stop, and I turned around and I said to her, maybe that will do it. The points were Savarino was all hearsay. She was not there. And she had no statutory authority to do all of this. And Callagy lied and had cause and effect upside down. Callagy doesn't want to stop the lawsuits. He gets paid by the hour and by the ounce. McDermott said, the judge is for you. Glendora reserves. Glendora had her clock with her at the no lunch hour. She never missed a prayer. Every 15 minutes. It is a wondrous universe. Glendora missed all asking Savarino was it you who sent back one tape in a great big box and you put my $7.85 postage on it when it could have come back for $1.35? Were you the one who did that? Glendora sent the $7.85 to send back 20 tapes. Savarino was not fully aware of the facts and circumstances. Glenn did not deal with her, nor is Callagy. It's hearsay, 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 hearsay. Callagy asked questions with no time frame. Savarino was giving answers left and right to things that happened before March 2000 when she was hired. Glendora had been on Cablevision Public Access 7 years before Savarino ever went to work for Cablevision. And this brings up the truth that these fake new rules started in 2000 cannot be forced on Glendora, who was on Cablevision Public Access since 1993. Glendora is grandmothered. Do you hear, court? Phony as they are, Savarino did Glendora ever break a Cablevision rule? No. When did Glendora start as a public access producer? Savarino, I don't know. Answer, 1993. Oh, 1973. That's right. That was in Buffalo. But I started on Cablevision in 1993. How many TV stations is Glendora on? Savarino, I don't know. Answer, 42. Is there a difference between a host and a public access producer? She acknowledged there was, yet during Callagy's examination she used the terms interchangeably. She was not familiar with the term bicycling tapes produced for one TV station, a bicycle to other TV stations. When you were sued by Glendora, did you file any opposition to these cases? No. She had no meritorious defense. Even as this post-trial memorandum is being written, and this is on February 28th, Saturday, 7 a.m. to 8:20 a.m., even as this post-trial memorandum is being written, Dolan continues to censor a chat with Glendora and exercise editorial control. This just came in, February the 27th, Friday. And here it is. This is a letter to Charles Dolan, the chairman of Cablevision Systems Corporation. And Glendora says, my signer in the Wappingers Cablevision system, the Reverend Taylor Holbrook, called me today to say that Cecilia, Cablevision Peekskill, called him to say that both tapes Glendora mailed in were damaged and could not be cablecast. Well, will you tell Cecilia that I have to know what the numbers on the tapes are so I can replace them? Every Glendora tape has a 5-digit number. The Reverend Holbrook said the tapes were for February 28th and for March the 6th. But which editions were they? Glendora made 16 editions, 16 different half hours that week. The number of the edition is on the spine of each tape. Why doesn't Cecilia know enough to call me instead of bothering the Reverend Taylor Holbrook? You harass me with your foolishness as well as the public, Glendora tells Charles F. Dolan. Continuing Glendora's letter to Charles F. Dillon, the Reverend Taylor Holbrook also said that Cecilia asked him to send her proof of residency. Quote, "The license I sent her wasn't clear," he said. "Your book of illicit rules, quote unquote, states that you accept a driver's license. It is not that you have any statutory authority to require a signer as condition to cablecast a chat with Glendora, nor that your insane rules, quote unquote, are legal. That Christine Savarino testified under oath on the witness stand February 19th when you were on trial and too chicken to appear, that a license was acceptable by the rules, quote unquote. So the Reverend Holbrook said he would send you, Cecilia, a copy of his cable TV bill." Do you know what Cecilia is saying to the Reverend Holbrook? She is saying, "I don't believe you." She is saying, "I think you lied on the application you sent me. That is not your address." In your arrogance and ignorance, Charles Dolan, you are saying that a man of the cloth lied. That's a pretty serious charge. Further, to show how stupidly you run public access, Charles Dolan, if you want proof of the Reverend Holbrook's residence, simply check your database. He's a subscriber. You run a cable into his house. Now, hasn't your harassment of public access producers and the public come to an abominable and laughable extreme? Now, I want you to tell dumb Cecilia to send me back those 2 tapes in the wrapper in which I sent them, because I don't believe you, and I don't believe her, that they are damaged beyond cable casting. I want the proof. You have no statutory basis for requiring a signer as a condition to cablecast a chat with Glendora, nor to turn your inept employees into autism and savagery, hanging up on the phone repetitively. Surely you can be more civilized than that. Glendora could serve the burdensomeness that the Riverhead was experiencing. She could feel what was coming next. It was too much of a load, and he wanted out. That is your intent. Extortion. RICO extortion is your design, and that is why Glendora is suing you. You have been breaking the laws since 1993, when you violated editorial control and took a chat with Glendora off of TV in Nassau County, and 3 courts made you put it back on again. So in the new lawsuit, you will be sued for violating my statutory right to first come, first serve in Hauppauge and in Rockland. Back to Peekskill. Cecilia has never told the Reverend Holbrook if the renewal, quote unquote, not a legal requirement, is all set for April 1st, April Fool's Day, to September 30th, what time, what channel, and what day of the week. Glendora is on 42 TV stations, and you do the worst job running public access of them all. This is Glendora to Charles F. Dolan, the chairman of Cablevision Systems Corporation. I'm glad that Time Warner is coming. Oh, I'll be so glad when Time Warner is there, and they are not. Here you are pestering a minister on Ash Wednesday and Lent, when they're the busiest. Have you no worry where your soul has gone? Every day there's a Charles F. Dolan violation of my statutory rights. This is why there is such a long list of lawsuits against you. When are you ever going to learn? As a shareholder, I agitate the immediate dismissal of Cecilia in Peekskill and Savarino and Harrison on grounds of incompetence and troublemaking, which result in lawsuits and cost us money that should go to us in dividends. I pray for you that you come to your senses and stop wasting your lives harassing public access producers and the public and holy men of God and subscribers and customers who are paying you huge sums, and also Yankee fans that you harassed. That both tapes alleged to be damaged in the mail had to do with Cecilia Savarino Budil and your son James. Neanderthalism and audio tape of the same was played on the videotape. I suspect that that's why the tapes got damaged and couldn't be cable cast. Again, this is editorial control. Let me say it again. The two tapes were damaged and couldn't be cable cast because of editorial control. Hanging up on Glendora, Savarino hanging up on Glendora, trying to find out if they received the renewals that she spent 40 hours and $40 getting. Also on the tapes was Glendora's audio tape telling Budil, when he fled the complaint about same, that she was going to sue him and his accomplices, that she already had a right to public access and that she didn't have to beg Cablevision for it. Also on the tapes was her telling James Dolan, your son, his office, that he would be sued and that she had a right to public access and did not have to beg Cablevision for it. I suspect that's why the tapes got damaged and couldn't be cablecast. Now, this is why the tapes got damaged and could not be cablecast. Censorship and editorial control, Title 47, U.S. Code, Section 531E. You gotta stop and see beautiful. Isn't she beautiful? Isn't she beautiful? You're gonna show people your great big tail? You're gonna show them your great, great big tail? Oh, you're just lovely. Yeah. Yeah, you want to read this for me? And I'll sit. Okay, I'll sit in your lap and you read this for me. This is why Cecilia did not tell the Reverend Holbrook the numbers of the tapes listed on the spine. These tapes, in bold graphics, should show the world how evil these people are. You, Charles Dolan, and the people who work for you. Glendora sent out 80 videotapes the day she sent the 2 to Cecilia. How is it only 2 out of the 80 were reported damaged and unable to be cablecast? And paragraph 26 of this letter to Charles Dolan is reserved. Yours in truth and in Amo Patriae Glendora, without prejudice, Uniform Commercial Code, Book 1, Section 207. Opus 1096, 4 hours and $5 print and post. Timothy. Charge them that are rich in this world. This is 1 Timothy 6. Charge them that are rich in this world, Charles Dolan, that they be not high-minded, nor trust in uncertain riches, but in the living God, who giveth us richly all things to enjoy. That they do good, that they be rich in good works, ready to distribute, willing to communicate. Boy, does that ever fit you, Charles Dolan, and Cecilia, and Christine Savarino. We're up to page 67. If Dolan Cablevision had returned the tapes, would I have been in court February 19th? The onus is theirs. Callagy gets paid, Glendora should be paid. The next lawsuit mentioned in court is being worked on currently. The court has an obligation to dispense justice and the discretion to grant justice and the discretion to grant Glendora relief of 145 hours and $600 print, post, and travel. Add to this 40 more hours and $200 more print, post, and travel. On this litany of lawsuits, did Cablevision defend in all of them? No. Then why were they dismissed? Callagy lied. She never won any of them. But this page shows that she did. She beat Callagy, Dolan, Cablevision in the United States District Court, Southern District of New York, in the United States District Court, Southern District of New York, the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, and in the Supreme Court, County of Westchester, State of New York. Callagy lied. And it's not the first time. The question of jurisdiction should never have come into the scene. Cablevision is a registered corporation in the County of Westchester, with Dolan listed as an officer. 3:30 p.m., the trial that started at 9 a.m. is over. God bless Peter Lane for his patience, thoroughness, good cheer, and stamina. We are grateful. Glendora was up from 1:40 a.m. From 3:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. we rode home and discussed the trial, and we played games. Glenn was to bed by 7:40 p.m. How many hours is that? 1:40 a.m. to 1:40 p.m. is 12, and 1:40 p.m. 18 hours. She audio taped the jot thoughts that rushed through her head. On the drive home, she kept the big clock on her lap, and we took turns praying. We took turns thanking God and praising God and remembering what a great universe this is and what a great life we have. And we didn't miss a one of them. Glenn did a lot of good things, but she also did a lot of wrong things. But that's because she was ambushed. So we're up to page 70, folks. So, we're up to page 71 to 80. This is Glendora's post-trial memorandum. And it's a case of Cablevision did not return my tapes. I sued them. The court made them return the tapes. I asked for $3,000 in damages, and this is the trial that lasted 6 hours to get that $3,000 in damages, which I have not got yet. It's not right to get injured by defendants, and then you seek justice, and you get injured further by the courts. Has that happened to you? 9-year-old Megan, court monitor, is here this afternoon with other 9-year-old neighbor Courtney. They help print 11 sets and count the blank paper, 11 sets. Try writing a legal paper with 2 9-year-olds in the house on the loose. Here is a clarification from the Cablevision esoteric, MSO. MSO stands for Multiple System Owner. When Glendora mentions Harrison, she is speaking also of the Harrison-Port Chester system. When she speaks of New Rochelle, she is also speaking of New Rochelle-Pelham. When she speaks of Yorktown, she's speaking of 8 municipalities. When she speaks of Cross River, she's speaking about 8 municipalities. Ossining is about 11, and Peekskill is about 7. Wappingers is really big. It's a whopper. Yankee, and Yonkers stands alone. The last word has not been spoken, folks, and it will be spoken by God, and it will be good. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and Robin Hood should be here. rob the rich and give to the poor. Megan is counting and Courtney is printing. A Park Avenue lawyer looks silly in small claims court. That's Robert M. Callagy from Rye. It's a heterotaxis. Cherry, Cunningham, Savarino, Dolan takes one's programs off of TV and never notifies one. They never tell you. No notice. They just take the program off TV. They don't tell you. They didn't even give Glendora an opportunity to remedy before they censored and blacked out. Glendora could not find number 3716, edition 17, and number 3715, edition 16, that Cecilia destroyed. Glendora had no more dubs, so they got what they wanted. They got the program off of TV. Censorship, editorial control. Glendora had to send to Peekskill and Austining Systems 3710 edition 11 and 3712 edition 13. This is not what Glendora wanted to be cablecast. So you see how they do it? This is disamericanism. These people do not deserve a good country like the United States of America. The Austining system is very large, and the Peekskill system is very large, and these people are deprived the information that Glendora wanted them to have. It took 11 and a half hours to make the dubs of the upsetting of Glendora's signer in 2002 in the Dutchess County system. Bill Baio from Cablevision called Sina Homiak and told her she was liable for anything that Glendora said. Peggy ran away scared. Glendora has about 20 tapes that prove this Cablevision extortion. And even if a signer were liable and a signer is not, what skin is it off of Cablevision's nose if they did get sued? There is no need to call the signers and tell them that, even if it were true. You know, I'm saying they're not going to get sued, okay? But if they did get sued, why should Cablevision care? You see? So their reason is just to extort. The reason is just to intimidate and scare them away. Glendora's 1996 audio tape recording would not work, and guess what? She had to buy a new one. I had to go to Radio Shack, and I had to buy a new audio microcassette recorder. You want to see it? So that now I have two. I really don't need two, but to get this tape as an exhibit in the court, this is the new one. They don't have to be this big because they could use AAA batteries. But the AAA batteries cost like about $80. It wasn't a gift, and it was a store credit. Glendora bought a wireless mic, and her new video camera does not have an external mic input, so I had to take it back. Can you ever imagine Cablevision being this civilized? This is from Portland, Oregon, public access, and you see what a nice letter that they write you. Nice letter. And then, can you imagine Cablevision ever sending a person a schedule? There it is, Chat with Glendora at 7 p.m. on Sundays in Portland, Oregon. That memorandum of law is going to cost Cablevision Systems Corporation much more than the $3,000 Glendora is fighting for, isn't it? Does this make sense? No. Is this abuse of the judicial system? Yes. By now we're up to March 3rd writing this paper. My goodness, I think we started on March 23rd, didn't we? No, it was about the 26th, I guess. Neighbor Helen McGavran invited Glendora to the Lenten supper and service on Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Glendora wanted to go, but was deprived because of having to do Dolan Cablevision Memorandum of Law. This service was at the Reformed Church, and that's 4 doors down from our Methodist Church. I would like to have gone. I would like to have gone very much. But that's not the first day of my life that Cablevision Dolan, Callagy, have robbed. Now this is done by artist Linda Margaret Whiffen Odell. She was one of the 6 monitors, and she sat in church in the court, and she drew this picture. Peter Lane was very gracious about it. He asked if he could make a copy, and he complimented Linda on it. Poor Linda, 14 hours of her life she spent for America. Receipts. Franklin and Glendora, we're on page 81. Franklin and Glendora for, whoops, we missed the 6:15 prayer. We're reading here James, the general epistle of James, and it's chapter 6. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God that giveth to all men liberally. You know, God giveth liberally. That's a nice, nice statement. And upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. Isn't that nice? And then on the next page of this James verse, it talks about rich men. And so I made sure that that was sent to Charles Dolan. But now we go into receipts, and I tell the court that Franklin and Glendora got receipts for everything. We had a system, well, I still have it. No matter what we buy, we get a receipt for it, and then we come home and we enter what it was, postage, printing, gasoline. We enter it in the diary, the weekly diary, the diary of the week. And at the end of the week, we take each one out and put the postage expenses in the postage column and the gasoline expenses in the gasoline column. And at the end of the month, we add up all those columns. And then we put them over on the year sheet for the month of February, how much was spent in gasoline. And so at the end of the year, we add up all of those columns, for instance, how much was spent for gasoline from January to December. And it comes out, since 1937 to the year 2003, Franklin and Glendora spent $87,000 on gasoline. Very interesting figures. If I had time, I'd go over them with you, and if you had time. So I make a point here.
I've got a great job. Money in the bank. Last month, someone asked if I read the Bible. The Bible? I'm successful, I'm happy. What do I need the Bible for? I can get more from the Wall Street Journal. But that made me curious. So I decided to take a second look.
I'm on my feet all day. When I go home, I just want to turn on the TV and relax. But read the Bible? All those these and thous and begats? Who wants to struggle with that after waiting on customers all day? But then a friend showed me this version written in modern English, and I was surprised.
This guy I play hoops with said I should start reading it, the Bible. Man, I said, I don't need no Bible. I mean, it just ain't cool. So he goes, I read it all the time. And he beat me by 20 points. So he gives me his Bible. I read it. It ain't hoops, but it ain't bad.
What's your excuse? Before you make an excuse to avoid reading the Bible, stop. Take a second look. Pick up the Bible for 5 minutes, and you may pick it up for a lifetime.
That Glendora wanted them to have. It took 11.5 hours to make the dubs of the upsetting of Glendora's signer in 2002 in the Dutchess County system. Bill Baio from Cablevision called Sina Homiak and told her she was liable for anything that Glendora said. Peggy ran away scared. Glendora has about 20 tapes that prove this Cablevision extortion. And even if a signer were liable and a signer is not, what skin is it off of Cablevision's nose if they did get sued. There is no need to call the signers and tell them that, even if it were true. You know, I'm saying they're not going to get sued, okay? But if they did get sued, why should Cablevision care? You see? So their reason is just to extort. The reason is just to intimidate and scare them away. Glendora's 1996 audio tape recording would not work, and guess what? She had to buy a new one. I had to go to Radio Shack, and I had to buy a new audio microcassette recorder. You want to see it? So that now I have two. I really don't need two, but to get this tape as an exhibit in the court, this is the new one. They don't have to be this big because I could use AAA batteries. But the AAA batteries cost like about $80. It wasn't a gift, and it was a store credit. Glendora bought a wireless mic, and her new video camera does not have an external mic input, so I had to take it back. Can you ever imagine Cablevision being this civilized? This is from Portland, Oregon, public access, and you see what a nice letter that they write you. Nice letter. And then, can you imagine Cablevision ever sending a person a schedule? There it is, Chat with Glendora at 7 p.m. on Sundays in Portland, Oregon. That memorandum of law is going to cost Cablevision Systems Corporation much more than the $3,000 Glendora is fighting for, isn't it? Does this make sense? No. Is this abuse of the judicial system? Yes. By now we're up to March 3rd writing this paper. My goodness, I think we started on March 23rd, didn't we? No, it was about the 26th, I guess. Neighbor Helen McGavran invited Glendora to the Lenten supper and service on Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Glendora wanted to go, but was deprived because of having to do Dolan Cablevision memorandum of law. This service was at the Reformed Church, and that's 4 doors down from our Methodist church. I would like to have gone. I would like to have gone very much. But that's not the first day in my life that Cablevision, Dolan, Callagy have robbed. Now this is done by artist Linda Margaret Whiffen-Odell. She was one of the 6 monitors, and she sat in church in the court, and she drew this picture. Peter Lane was very gracious about it. He asked if he could make a copy, and he complimented Linda on it. Poor Linda, 14 hours of her life she spent for America. Receipts. Franklin and Glendora, we're on page 81. Franklin and Glendora for, whoops, we missed the 6:15 prayer. We're reading here James, the general epistle of James, and it's chapter 6. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God that giveth to all men liberally. You know, God giveth liberally. That's a nice statement. And upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. Isn't that nice? And then on the next page of this James verse, it talks about rich men. And so I made sure that that was sent to Charles Dolan. But now we go into receipts, and I tell the court that Franklin and Glendora got receipts for everything. We had a system, well, I still have it. No matter what we buy, we get a receipt for it, and then we come home, and we enter what it was, postage, printing, gasoline. We enter it in the diary, the weekly diary, the diary of the week. And at the end of the week, we take each one out and put the postage expenses in the postage column and the gasoline expenses in the gasoline column. And at the end of the month, we add up all those columns. And then we put them over on the year sheet for the month of February, how much was spent in gasoline. And so at the end of the year, we add up all of those columns, for instance, how much was spent for gasoline from January to December. And it comes out, since 1937 to the year 2003, Franklin and Glendora spent $87,000 on gasoline. Very interesting figures. If I had time, I'd go over them with you, and if you had time. So I make a point here that we are very careful about keeping a financial record. Car repair, $79,000. Total rent, $277,000. Total deductions from Franklin's paychecks, $102,000. Federal withholding tax, $99,000. Telephone, $98,000. Gasoline, postage, $41,000. Print, from 1937 to 2003, $35,000. Technical equipment, batteries, cameras, $33,000. Haircuts, $806. Anyway, I show him a few receipts. And I make the point that had I known that this is what he was going to let the trial be about, I would have come to court armed with receipts. Because we have receipts for everything. The difficult part is the number of hours it takes to look through hundreds of receipts for a decade. Franklin and Glendora won a landlord-tenant case in Harrison Court. Duke Johnson was a judge. By producing one receipt, it took us 6 hours to find it. But we did win that against the Moranos. We told the Moranos they had to pay interest on our security deposit for 6 years. And they said they didn't. And I found the law that they did. And then I found a rent check with a security deposit that we made. And it took hours and hours, but I found it. And then the judge says, was this deposited in an interest-bearing account? And the landlord, Mrs. Morano, had to admit that it was. And we won the $235. Copy cartridges cost $300 about every other month. Dolan Cablevision Callagy have emptied a copy cartridge since this started, this post-trial memorandum and memorandum of law. Damages to the other legal papers, other courts piled high, 8 of them are abominable. There's 8 legal papers over there waiting to be done. Very important ones. Damages to the checking on other cable TV public access systems and seeing if a chat with Glendora is being cable cast and when. And damages to telephoning Glendora is obstructed from doing by $3,000. Dolan Cablevision Callagy are hideous. I'm behind like 300 telephone calls. The damages to the home care, the car care, the errands, the cat's care are enormous and must be considered by this court. And the videotaping got behind, and everything got postponed. And wrapping 42 tapes got postponed, but it's done. Glendora thinks, Glendora's thumb. This thumb was worked so hard doing these legal papers and queuing up audio tapes and wrapping and things like that, that it was badly damaged. And I put 2 Band-Aids on it. And these are good Band-Aids. These are Curates, and they stay on there all day. I put 2 on there. And it is recuperating. Glendora wishes her subconscious could stop raising Grassos thumb that the Rye police bent backwards. The Rye police bent back his thumb so far that they broke it. Can you imagine breaking a thumb? That's almost what distinguishes a human being from the beast. We have an opposable thumb. They don't. And imagine the Rye police bent back his thumb so far that they broke it. I read about the case. In fact, I did read the whole case in the files of the United States District Court in White Plains. And Glendora also wishes that she could forget the $400 of Franklin's security deposit that the Rye court cheated him out of. Poor Franklin. Wherefore, therefore, and ergo, Glendora must be awarded the $3,000 that she sought and the appellate term granted, together with any further relief, just and proper. Dated March the 4th, 2004, Anno Domini, Chatham, New York. Yours in truth and in amor patriae, Glendora. A chat with Glendora on 42 cable TV systems, the worst of which are Cablevision. The address, and without prejudice, Uniform Commercial Code, Book 1, Section 207, Glendora. And I can't let this thing go without saying a prayer for these people. I cannot do that. Grace be unto you, and peace from God our Father, to Peter Lane, George McDermott, Mary Jo Garrity, Annette Cipriano, the number 3 clerk, Charles F. Dolan, Cablevision Systems Corporation, Robert M. Callagy, and Glendora, and the court officers. Amen. I cannot help but pray for these people's happiness and perfection and fulfillment. Now, here is the log that was kept on this memorandum. I tell you again, when you got a lawsuit and a legal paper to write, and it comes in, the first thing you do, you date it, of course, when it came in, but the first thing you do is make a log. You make a log that looks like this. Over here, you put the date and the day, and over here you put the number of hours and any expenses like copying or postage. And then you sit down and you work on it the next day after it comes in for 15 minutes to look at that thing and think what you've got to do and how long it's going to take and how much labor it's going to take. No, you work on it for 15 minutes and you enter that and you put down what you did during that 15 minutes and you put down the time so that everything is thoroughly documented. And even Callagy, in all of his lying, could not attack this. So there's the whole log. Now, I added the expenses. Since I told you it was 145 hours that this case has cost me, and $555 in print, post, and travel. Since the trial, including the trial, look at what else has come in. On the day before the trial, I spent 2 hours preparation and $3 in a telephone call. The day of the trial, I spent 18 hours and $123 travel and $35 for meals for the monitors. I didn't eat. On February 20, 21st, 22, after the trial, I spent 3 hours jotting thoughts. Whatever thoughts came to me as I was around doing things, I jotted them down. You've got to do that. February 25th to March 4th was a post-trial memorandum that took 21 hours and it cost $55. On March the 1st to March the 4th, post-trial memorandum of law took 18 hours and $51 to print and post. February 29th, Omnibus 10 to find it and include it and send it to the court. It was the lawsuit that sued Savarino and Callagy for this extortion, such as you heard with Peggy Homiak, making signers back down. That took 4 hours and cost $14. February 25th, March the 1st and 2nd, the audio tape of the Cablevision scaring away Peggy Homiak. That took 7 hours and it cost $72. Why did it cost $72? I had to buy another microcassette recorder. March the 4th, the VHS of A Chat with Glendora that's going on TV in Washington, D.C. in April. That took an hour to make 2 dubs, one for Callagy and one for the court, and that was $6. February 27th, 2 damaged tapes letter. That took 4 hours and $5 in print and post. And calling signers to set to see if A Chat with Glendora was being cablecast. That took 10 hours and $10. So post-trial now has added up to 88 hours and $284. Pre-trial was 145 hours, $522. Total 233 hours and $806. And $233 times my $300 an hour is $69,900. Yours in truth, Glendora. And all I can get is $3,000 if I can get that. You want some of it? What do you want to buy with it? Now, this is a 10-year total. I have been fighting the law breaking of Charles Dolan and the hoods he has working for him, Cablevision Systems Corporation, for 10 years and a quarter. I have spent $27,036 in print, post, court fees, stenographer's fees, 86 volumes, 10 file drawers, 33,884 pages I have against him, 11,034 mailings, 1,134 mailings, on the November 11th, 1993 to February the 29th, 2004. And I have caught Charles Dolan in something like 2,533 lies I have on record that he has told. And again, I push into the face of the court, where Glendora beat Dolan, Cablevision, and Callagy in the United States District Court, Southern District of New York, the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, and the New York State Supreme Court, County of Westchester. And I keep sticking it in their face. Okay, 6:30, time for a prayer. Actually is a time to proclaim our happiness. We're happy, aren't we, that winter is washing away and spring is coming. You people who go to Florida, you miss that. We're happy because we have the United States Postal Service. We're happy because we have churches. We're happy because we are creatures straining to be perfect. We're happy for all of the good things that people do. We're happy that we rescued 7 cats. I've had 6 cats. These are my neighbor's cats. I've had 6 of them spayed, and I have an appointment Thursday to have 4 more. And that will be the end of it, I hope. This is the affirmation of service, folks, that I served this on Punk Callagy, Wire for Hire for Cablevision. And that I served the VHS tape on Callagy. And that I served the little audio tape that I played through the microcassette, Peggy Homiak Being Scared Away, by Bill Balbeo. Bill Balbeo. Anyway, he lives in New Rochelle. And this is about Omnibus 10. I told Callagy I sent a copy of that to the court. This is what Omnibus 10 looked like. This is a great lawsuit. It was 270 pages. It took 80 hours to do it. And it's Glendora versus Charles F. Dolan, Maurice Cunningham, Brenda Cherry, Joseph Bilbao, John Doe, that would be Dan Ciccone, James L. Dolan, Cablevision Systems Corporation, Charles Foreman, Mac Budill, Thomas Gardner, Robert M. Callagy, Christine Savarino, Karen Heck, Helene Rhine, and the other defectors, the double-crossers, who ran away. Not only did it injure me, but worse of all, it injured America. Is that the way an American should be? Don't you know that the last 4 letters of American are I can? What do we do with this whole thing? I can't find it. Does that mean I don't have to read it to you anymore? Well, I think that's just about it. I added one thing. There's so many papers on this piece. I added that thing about James and being a rich man. That was very, very good. And then I had to add more hours to it. It took something like 4 more hours to get it done. It wasn't done until 2 o'clock. I started on at 2:40 p.m. on Thursday and finished it on 2:40 p.m. today. So it was 4 hours over what I'd estimated. Plus the videotaping of it has taken 3 hours. Well, that's it. So peace. And let's see if I can tell you a joke. Yeah. The customer goes into the restaurant and he says to the waitress, "Is the chef in?" The waitress says, "No, he went out to eat." And the waitress said to the customer asked the waitress, "What kind of ice cream do you have?" And she says, "Vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry." And he says, "You sound hoarse. Do you have laryngitis?" She says, "No, just vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry." What else can I tell you? About the policeman who stopped the girl, and he's holding her license, and he says, "Your license says you should be wearing glasses." And the girl says, "I have contacts." And he says, "I don't care who your friends are. You're getting a ticket." And the policeman who stopped the man, and he says, "What did your speedometer say?" And the man says, "It's broken." And the policeman says, "Well, then how do you know how fast you're going?" And the man says, "Well, at 30 miles an hour, it rattles. At 40 miles an hour, it shimmies. And at 50 miles an hour, it stops." And the priest asked the little boy, "Are you related to the people next door?" And the little boy said, "Yes." And the priest says, "How?" And the little boy says, "Well, their dog is our dog's brother." And the priest said to the little boy, "Is this your brother?" And the little boy says, "Yes." And the priest says, "He's kind of small, isn't he?" And the priest says, and the little boy says, "Yeah, but he's only my half-brother." Okay. I can't think of any more. I don't have the energy to get up and go over to the desk and get you the list of current jokes. These are only some that I can remember. The judge is out on the golf course, and the judge says to the caddy, "Caddy, why do you keep looking at your watch?" And the caddy says, "Oh, no, sir, this isn't a watch, this is a compass." And do you like the way Charles Dolan holds his meetings, his annual meetings? He puts forth his proposals. He says, "All in favor say aye, all opposed say bye." And somebody walked into Cablevision and asked for change for a $100 bill, and they made him a partner. This is Glendora Chat with Glendora on 42 cable TV systems. And you are a great person. Do you know that? Way down deep. You are a great, great person. And there's some of God in you. And I need the sum of God that's in you. And you need the sum of God that's in everybody else. And thank you, Zabby, for standing up for what is right and giving your life for it and getting no money in return and just standing up for what is right because you know what they're doing is wrong. Girlfriend said to her boyfriend, "I'm not going out with you Friday night." And he says, "That's awful. You ruined my weekend. What am I going to do with my weekend?" And she says, "Wear a hat on it." And a boy got a job working for Jack Lemmon, and he liked the job very much, but he quit because the other kids he was helping Jack Lemmon with his fan mail because the other kids called him a lemonade. The policeman stopped the motorist, and he said, "How fast you going? What's your speedometer say?" And the motorist says, "It's broken." And the policeman says, "Well, how do you know how fast you're going?" And the man says, "Well, at 30 miles an hour, it shakes, and or it rattles, and at 40 miles an hour it shimmies, and at 50 miles an hour it stops." And the little girl says, "Grandpa, why does my big sister wear her blue jeans so tight?" And Grandpa says, "So she can fit into her compact car." And there's a product on the market. Linda just bought it for me last week. It's called 2000 Flushes. And that's what you need when you play poker, right? One judge met another and said, "How are you today?" And the second judge says, "I'm able to keep my head above water, but that's only because wood floats." And a little boy was asked, why did he chew Trident gum? And he says, "Because." Is that what your mother wants you to chew, just Trident gum? He says, "No, just because I have 3 teeth." You know what NFL stands for? National Foolishness Live. Harry was having a bad day on a golf course, and he threw his golf bag into the pond. He threw his golf clubs into the pond. He threw his golf balls into the pond. He goes up to the clubhouse. He slit his wrists. He's standing there bleeding to death. And his friend George came up and says, "Hi, Harry. How about a game of golf tomorrow?" Harry says, "What time?" "This is Glendora. Chat with Glendora." Trying to, well, protesting. Trying to stop these people from robbing you of America. Keep the courage flaming. Winter's washing away and spring is coming. Isn't that a beautiful blue sky? Now, it was plenty warm enough today, folks, to have the service in the sanctuary. Plenty warm enough. The church council is blockheaded. There's no reason they couldn't have the service in the sanctuary. And I think Keith is so talented the way he plays that keyboard. And he tells me he puts considerable thought into it. Isn't it nice? That snow is gone, that dirt is gone. And I can see Old Glory flying. And I found a way to walk around the mud and cut through. So there's the strength for another week. Church. What good things are we going to do this week? And how many people are we going to lead to be perfect and have this happiness? And how many animals are we going to help? It's another new week. A week of joy, a week of fun, a week of exaltation, a week of ecstasy. We had communion. Go to church, folks. I commend it to you. You'll never have peace without it. Is that over there, folks? Doesn't that look like spring? Doesn't that look like summer? Folks, I would like to have you call up the New York State Public Service Commission, which I call the New York State Public Parasites Commission. The leader, the chairman, is Flynn. And I would like to, and the other people around are Figliosi and Thomas Isabella and Chad Hume and Stephen Shea. They're all do-nothings. They're all bedfellows with Cablevision and the other cable operators. They're certainly not for the public. So I'd like to have you hear this and also keep this my number and call them up and just get your rights. They're there to protect you, not for their own self-interest.
Service Commission is seeking your comments regarding any utility-related issue. Please listen carefully to the following choices. You may repeat these choices at any time during this message by pressing 9. To leave your comment about an electric or gas issue, press 1. To leave your comment about a telecommunications or cable issue, press 2. To leave your comment about a which also was in Westchester, and just a few miles south of Rye in Mount Vernon. And can you believe that fiduciary, irresponsible Charles F. Dolan must have paid a Park Avenue lawyer in small claims court now? Can you think of anything more ridiculous than a small claims court with a Park Avenue lawyer in it, named Callagy, a bestseller of yours? And the issue came down to the 53 videotapes that Charles F. Dolan and Cablevision Systems did not return to Glendora. The court ruled that Cablevision returned the tapes and that Glendora picked them up. But Glendora did not get her $3,000, which is the small claims court limit. So Glendora appealed this, and the appellate term ruled in Glendora's favor. And Glendora won once and for all that the Rye City Court and Glendora do have jurisdiction over Charles F. Dolan. He tried to get out of the billionaire that he is, but he didn't make it. Okay? We have jurisdiction over him. That was one big battle that was won. Another was Glendora's 145 hours in this litigation and $600 in post-travel and telephoning. And Glendora gets $300 for her expertise in cable television and 50 years in broadcast TV. And so it was left that both sides had to submit a memorandum of law. Those were submitted on March the 5th, Friday, just 2 days ago. And that's where the situation stands. But here I am, a public access producer, a pro se, and an informed pauperous. And I stood up to that billionaire. I did a lot of good things, but I did a lot of things that weren't right. But at least I stood up, and I had a trial. And I had Charles Dolan on trial and Cablevision Systems Corporation. Your bet those, I had them on trial. Now, a new lawsuit is looming, and that's because Hop violated first come, first served. In New York.
So, okay, that was the that's all the time the Public Service Commission would give. So, I wish that you would keep this number on your refrigerator, and I wish that you would call up and demand that your rights be satisfied. You know, they think just because we aren't watching them that they're going to get away with this and that and this and that and go out and go to the country clubs and play golf with these cable operators and have all the perks, and that, you know, they're going to bother with us. You know, we're little people. We don't have the money to take them out to dinner and all that. I'm talking about the Public Service Commission. Keep this number on your refrigerator and keep calling them about your rights. Okay, if you've got a complaint about a cable company, you call them. This is Glendora, Chat with Glendora on 42 Cablevision, on 42 Cable TV Systems. And of them all, Cablevision is the worst.
Because it won't go anywhere without a rattle. Thank you for helping me. I'll try to reach you. You know that computers are in the Bible?
No.
Yes, Eve said to Adam, do you want an apple too?
Oh, that's really good. It was nice chatting with you, Glendora.
Thank you.
Now then, everybody, for 10 years and 4 months, Charles F. Dolan and the crooks he hires, called Cablevision Systems Corporation, have been violating Glendora's public access rights, shareholder rights, And for 10 years, I have been fighting this man's lawlessness. And it has cost folks this amount of hours. 9,835 hours fighting these violations of my public access rights and many other rights that belong to you. 9,835 hours. It is cost in print, postage, court fees, and travel, and telephone, $27,284. The record is 87 volumes and 11 file drawers. Yeah, such as this. Here's a file drawer. 11 file drawers and 34,000 254 pages of bad record against Charles F. Dolan and Cablevision Systems Corporation. 1,136 mailings, and I have a record of 2,533 Dolan lies. This started on November the 11th, 1993 to March the 7th, 2004. 10 years and 4 months. And I'm continuing to stand up for what is right and knock down what is wrong. Chat with Glendora is okay in Rye. I just talked to Jim in the city manager's office. And a Chat with Glendora is played at 10 o'clock on Mondays, 10 a.m. and at noon, and at 2 p.m. and at 4 p.m. and at 6 p.m. and at 8 p.m. and at 10 p.m. And a Chat with Glendora is okay in Yorktown and the 8 municipalities in that system.
Local programming. Yeah. Well, first of all, did you know that computers are in the Bible?
Are they?
Yeah.
How's that?
Eve said to Adam, "Do you want an apple too?"
That's good. Very good. Thanks very much. My friends will enjoy that.
Yes, indeed.
And here's somebody else who enjoyed that joke.
Okay.
He's swallowing his cup. Oh, okay.
Very speak with you. I'm definitely going to pass along that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right.
Bye-bye. Thank you. I have to remember that one. I needed a laugh. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Folks, here's the telephoning that's going on. I've done 10. These 10 have done. Mostly they're renewals, these odious, stupid, useless, illegal, serving no public interest, not serving your interest, not serving my interest. These stupid renewals. That's what most of them are. And I've done 10 calls, and I'm on number 16 or 17 right now. And there's about 300 more to do.
Oh, the saints who from their labors rest. That's Frankie. Who bow by faith before the Lord confess. That's Frankie. Thy name, O Jesus, be forever blessed. Hallelujah, hallelujah. 914-949-9495.
That is to Shannon Lashley.
Yeah. Bloopers on the church bulletin. Okay. It said that the morning service, the sermon would be Jesus walks on the water, and that the afternoon service, the sermon would be searching for Jesus. And I'll sing you a hymn. I'll sing you a hymn that applies to Franklin, okay? Oh, beautiful! Yeah, this applies to Franklin. For all the saints who from their labors rest, who thou by faith before the Lord confess. Hallelujah, Jesus be forever blessed. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Folks, you people in Southampton, save public access. Southampton, do not sign the Cablevision contract. Protest. Call 631-283-6055. Say, I protest the Cablevision proposed contract with Southampton. Do not sign it. I am opposed. 631-283-6055. Okay, Glennie has a few things to report to you. This is the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit in San Francisco. And it's omnibus